What do they tell us about the future? Let's talk about a concept called the RICHCESSION. And then let's go back and review some housing crash calls from November 26th, 2022. Folks, before we get started, let's congratulate two people for doing the work. Usually I save these to the end, but let's change them up and do it in the beginning. Dave, congratulations on getting your deal. We are sending you a golden ticket, even though it's your second deal, because you didn't get a golden ticket the first time. So Dave, congratulations. Your golden ticket will be in the mail today. And then Adam, congrats on your second deal. Your card is going out in the mail. First, let's talk about the Fed meeting minutes. The Fed meeting minutes, basically, in a nutshell, the Fed is concerned about inflation being stickier. As we have talked about for a year on this channel, the easy part is over. I would even tell you the hard part is over, right? Remember when I talked about inflation, I had 3 components? Well, there's a good chance we are at the tail end of number 2, and we are getting into the hard stuff. Again, for those that don't remember, the first stuff was goods inflation. That is over. Now we have housing, and again, as I've tried to communicate for a while now, housing starts to improve next month. We are almost there. And then it will be consecutive months where housing gets better and better, right? Housing, owner's equivalent rent, all of that. But then it's wages. And again, as I have said for quite a while now, I believe we are seeing something we haven't seen since the 1970s, where the bottom half of income earners are going to see a lion's share of wage increases. It is a good thing. No, it is a great thing. So yes, I think that is what will be occurring for the next several years. And then that will feed into inflation and prove to be pretty sticky. So again, it's something we certainly have to watch. But again, as we'll see in a minute, there's another topic quoted in Wall Street Journal with a sexier name, but basically saying the same thing. So let's get into that. You know what? Let's go there right now. I want to give full credit where credit is due. There was a Wall Street Journal article where the idea of a RICHCESSION was brought to bear. That was done by, I want to make sure I give the author credit, Justin Lahartz, in a Wall Street Journal article called Heard on the Street. So again, this is in full credit to Justin Lahartz. I think you've come up with a name that is very sticky, that the media will jump on. But what is a RICHCESSION? What is what I have been calling a white collar recession? Basically, it's the folks that make 100 grand or more a year feel the pain, while the folks in the bottom half of the income do not. What are we seeing today? Exactly that. Did you know? Did you know? And I didn't know, so if I didn't know, did you know? I don't know. But here we go. The unemployment is rising the fastest for households that make over 125 grand a year. I'll say it again because it was shocking. The unemployment rate is rising the fastest for households that make 125 grand a year. Folks, that is the white collar recession I brought up over a year ago. This is the RICHCESSION that Justin talks about. And again, it's the economy going through this structural change. And what is the difference between a RICHCESSION and a normal recession? Like it or not, a normal recession impacts the bottom half first. It's a very services or bottoms up impact. A RICHCESSION is different. We really haven't seen one in quite a while. The 1990s kind of was one. But again, it's something that we need to watch. And I want to remind you, last August, yes, 1 year ago, Jerome Powell, in his 8-minute Jackson Hole speech, basically said, hey, the wealthy, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. People didn't believe him, but that's exactly what he was going for. And he's been tightening the screws on the wealthy, while the less wealthy are certainly impacted, but he is going after those folks. So again, I did find it very interesting that the unemployment rate is rising the fastest for folks or for households that make more than 125 grand a year. This is something we have to watch, because if the rich, you know, the wealthy, the rich, whatever you want to call that, if they get scared or spooked or pull back, it could have a pretty large trickle down. Now, will they all en masse? Unlikely. They also have cash reserves, so when they're laid off from Facebook or Google or whatever, they have some reserves, and they are finding jobs relatively quickly, but it is an interesting concept. So I want to bring you back to November 26th. This article was in Market Insider. Sometimes, folks, I like to go back and see what people are saying. Back in November 26, 2022, there was an article talking about housing prices. I actually talked about it on this channel. You probably can go back to my daily financial news on November 27th, maybe the 26th, but probably the 27th, and see how I reacted to these. So these were 5 housing experts and what they thought was going on. So let's start with good old Jeremy Siegel. Jeremy Siegel basically said, we are going to see the second biggest decline coming since World War II. He said housing will be down 10 to 15%. Next up, Mark Zandi. Mark Zandi, prices to go down 10%, and if we have a recession, could fall as much as 20%. Mark Zandi's quote, it's going to be brutal, coast to coast. David Rosenberg, we are in a massive housing bubble now. Must have the asset deflation to bring inflation down. Paul Krugman, Nobel Prize winning economist, I'll have you know, the housing slump is months away. And then finally, Ian Shepard, Pantheon Macroeconomics, they actually had the guts to say housing is going to drop 15 to 20% over the next year. Housing is in free fall. Folks, I brought this up because, again, you can go back and watch what we were saying on this channel back in November, and it was very different than these 5 experts. Why? Because you and me, we are in the market every day. I am talking to experts across the country, and we knew, or at least our call, and it was pretty clear, was transactions slowing down. Flippers were going to lose some money, as we saw. But yes, none of these folks were right. They were reacting to some Q4 headlines. And I bring this up because, again, I think they're going to bring these same topics coming up. I don't go back to November 26th to pat myself on the back. I go back to that article because I believe what's about to happen is more and more folks. Okay, Sonny, come here. Oh, sorry, guys. Sonny wanted to. Oh, hey, what are you doing? You want to talk to everybody? I'm sorry, folks. That's what happens when you do these things live and you have pets in the room. Again, the reason I brought this up, because you're all tangled up, is because I believe the headlines coming in housing are going to be really bad. I expect, again, August housing, I called it on August 3rd, to be under 4 million. And I just want you to be ready. You're going to get people like Jeremy and Mark and David and Paul and Ian and endless other people on TV telling you how bad it is and how bad it is going to be. Folks, do the work. You and I have been begging for a slower market. If you watched my channel last winter, you know I took it as a personal challenge to prove to you that if you just did the work, you can buy out of the MLS. I said I was going to buy 1 and I bought 2. It's the same thing happening again. So again, look at this as an opportunity. The talking heads are going to scare people and they don't know what you and I know. We are looking for motivated sellers who are willing to get a deal done because they have to sell whatever it is. I don't want you to look at the headlines and see fear. I want you to look at it and see opportunity. That's what I'm trying to get here. So again, we're going to go below 4 million transactions. It's my belief we could be there for several months, but that is where the opportunity lies. And then finally, don't forget what tricks we had in the mortgage industry last year. People were getting 2-1 buy downs, 3-2-1s. They were getting seller concessions, closing costs. Go get it. We kind of walked away from that earlier in the spring, but it is time to write disrespectful offers, follow up on what's going on, and keep doing the work. Okay, Sonny, you said hi. There you go. So now I want to tell you about a video coming out at 9 a.m. At 9 a.m., Mike was gracious enough to reach out to me, or Michael was gracious enough to reach out to me to ask me questions about this 50-person boot camp. If you've been watching my channel, you know I've been struggling with the idea of filling a need or a gap in my education. I want to take people from zero to buy box and moving forward. A lot of people have been attracted to the accountability of this one-time only 50-person event. I've had about 10 people of you reach out to me and say, hey, when you're ready, I'm ready. So I want you to watch the video at 9 a.m. Mike asked me a lot of questions. I do want to be very clear. It's going to cost $1,000. If you are one of my students, of course, you will just pay the upgrade. So, you know, I would never ask you to pay twice. But if I get if I get over 40 people that say they want to do this thing, we're going to do it. I don't know the full outline, but it will be 10 days spread out over 6 months because I want to hold you accountable to each and every section. And let's be very clear, I don't want anybody surprised by this. I will be recording it so that I can help people for years and years to come. That is how I am telling myself, Michael, give up 20 hours of your life, help these 50 folks, and then you'll help thousands of people in the future. So that's how I'm kind of justifying it in my head. So again, folks, listen to that video. It comes out at 9 a.m. It's pretty short. I think he asked me a lot of great questions. I'm very clear. Lots of people shouldn't do it, shouldn't take it. I know it's expensive, but it does have 20 hours of my life in it, so it is what it is. I will give away everything else I have to make the value even more. But I do want to talk about one thing. August sales, and now I know it's August and it's summer and there's no one around, but there's only been 5 or 6 course sales this month. How to get started one rental at a time, which is, in my opinion, a mistake. This is the time to do the work. This is the time to get the buy box, do the work, so you're ready in October, November, December. You can't get ready in October. As I've said many times, you can't cut the line. Just because you have money doesn't mean you get to cut the line. You got to do the work too. So again, if you buy the course today, $399, I still will give you $100 in free goodies. If you want to do the big course, the $997 or $1,000, like I told Mike, just buy the 400. Once I get 50 commitments, you'll just pay an upgrade. You'll never pay twice, and we'll get this thing scheduled. And then finally, I want to give a shout out to Carlos from the Hub. Yes, we have the Hub call usually every Monday. He just gave you a walkthrough this morning of another disgusting property that's going to be a flip. So everybody likes to see walkthroughs when they're ugly. So if you go to my playlist called Walkthroughs, you will see a 5-minute walkthrough of a wrecked property. So at the end of the day, folks, remember it's the time to do the work. Lastly, we are 76 people. Yes, 76. We are 76 people away from 50,000. It could happen today. You could help me get to 50,000 today if you hit the subscribe button, if you ask your friends to subscribe. It could happen today. This has been a 5-year journey. 5-year journey. We've done 12,000 videos, and we're almost to 50,000. Can you believe that? It's pretty wild. I do have ideas on a video I will kind of record off my top of my head when we finally hit 50,000. But yes, it is, it'll feel good. But could happen today, could be tomorrow, could be the day after. It depends on how many of you hit the subscribe button, how many of you help us get that final 76. So again, I hope you have an amazing day. Remember, if you are looking to get started and you don't have the course, there is nothing better. How to get started one rental at a time at $399 plus some goodies. Let's go. All right, everybody, take care of yourself. Bye.